Two, check. Hello. Hello. Fellow Patriots, I have intel today. Just wanted to let y'all know that me and some college friends.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Very non-conspiratorial shirt there. Definitely has no cult implications, and I'm sick of people saying otherwise.
Thank you, B-Rat. Thank you for the 15 months tier 1, B-Rat. It's so annoying how people say that kind of thing about this community. It's not true and it's hurtful. Thank you for recognizing that, B-Rat. Coal Mine's got intel. Me and some college friends are going to do laser tag and drink beer, vodka, and whiskey, and I'm going to whoop some ass. That's some good intel, Coal Mine. I hope you do kick ass at laser tag. We don't do laser tag enough, I think. We don't think about laser tag as like a community building type event, and we should. It's like I'm going to be one of those return guys. Or instead of like, we need to have 8 kids and live on a farm. Or like the church. We're losing the church. We've lost this community. Well, what about if we replace the church with laser tag? What about that? Pierre Polyev would never play laser tag. You know what? I kind of chickened out yesterday. I did the whole open challenge, but then I didn't tweet Pierre on Twitter, which now I have to do. I have to do that. Laser tag bridges the divide better than any dumb board game could. Seriously. Can you tell that I'm like higher? I lifted my chair. I think sometimes I'm like low like this, and you can't see that I'm wearing a t-shirt. And you don't see my arms. And for some reason it kind of bugs me. So I like boosted myself up today. But am I too high? Am I too high now? I don't know. You can see the shirt better. And by the way, if you want one of these extremely sick TRRS Russo Institute for Western Destabilization shirts that I'm wearing right now, this not a cult, this definite not a cult t-shirt, you can use the ! merch command in the chat to go to the merch store. I'm working on some new merch drops as well. If anyone else has any desire to get in the merch game or help create some TRRS merch, I'm going to be doing some merch drops ASAP. What are you going to do when you wear a sick hat? That's a good question. Pay no attention to the shape of the chart. That's right. Absolutely right. I saw JW Grimy say just had to resub because Rob is the best emotes in the game. I didn't get an alert though. You didn't get the alert. And on the alert front, okay? I'm going to have to mention this a couple more times as well. My not a cult shirt is raising a lot of questions and it's already answered by my shirt. It's not a cult. It's an Institute for Western Destabilization, okay? That's all. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's an Institute for Western Destabilization. If it's a crime to want to destabilize the West, well, okay, guilty as charged, I guess. I want to check on whether that is actually a crime. If it is, then no. If it is, then I'm actually not.
You can count on me. You're gonna
Nothing
have good
culty
old
about
Rob
it.
to talk you through all this.
So much closer to getting my pea-colored badge.
I wouldn't say that it's pea-colored. Who's the GOAT Canadian wrestler? You gotta go with Bret the Hitman Hart, Coal Mine. He's my guy. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Oh, cool. Glad to know you got one, Lightning Smash. And Starlight, thank you so much for the 19 months tier 1 resub. Very much appreciate Starlight. I saw you parry another Rob raid yesterday with the knife. The quick thinking Starlight with the knife. Countering all the Rob knives in the chat. Thanks, Starlight, for the resub. And the badge isn't pea-colored. It's a golden 24-month elite exclusive TRRS sub badge. And if, again, as we've pointed out before, if that's the color of your pee, that's not good. Like, you got to drink way more water. If your pee is looking like that, that's really a bad sign. That's not good. Okay. On if you want to be showered in golden badges. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. I only drink coffee and Diet Coke. I got a Diet Coke right here, brother. Dakadoon pulling a work shift as well, tuning in from work. I appreciate that, Dakadoon. And I must say, okay? I must say, folks, that I've been talking about doing this for a while. And I know it's not that common of an occurrence. And I'm not trying to say that anyone should do this. I'm not trying to influence anybody, okay? I'm simply saying, though, that I did add a new alert to the channel for those extremely kind and generous chatters, the elite members of the Friendship Triangle, two-dimensional friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. For those that gift 10 subs and above at one time, it will play a brand new alert. And I'm not saying anyone has to do it. You don't have to do it. I'm simply saying if that was something that anyone was considering at some point, it will trigger a brand new alert. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Randy Orton's your fave coal mine? I mean, I love Orton, but I think I'm a little more old school. I gotta go to the new generation era. Are there any biddy alerts? I guess I don't really have those, do I? That's something I gotta work on. And they're supposed to have bit badges, but for some reason I can't upload them. For some reason it just does not work when I try to upload them, but I don't know what's going on with that. I'll try and fix that. We got more bit badges, more alerts, more emotes. Kenny Omega the GOAT. That's an interesting argument, Starlight. I would never say anyone from this era is the greatest of all time. I mean, I guess Kenny Omega has a claim to it. Certainly. Although, can you be considered greatest of all time if you've never appeared in WWE? I mean, I guess there's wrestlers that fit that category.
And have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Best emotes in the game.
Thank you, JW Grimy, for the Prime. 8 months of Prime. Thank you, JW Grimy. Very kind of you. It is the best emotes in the game, and we're gonna put some more. I think it's time to start switching some of this stuff up. There's no new steps to the Nate. I'm just a Bret Hart guy. Okay, I was a Bret Hart guy in 1993, and I'm a Bret Hart guy to this day. You know? That's 30 entire years of being a Bret Hart guy. Can Kenny Omega be the greatest if he wasn't part of D-Generation X? I mean, it's just that's the most well-known company. In terms of work rate, if that's what we're going to call it, in terms of wrestling ability and like the character, he's definitely up there. But you'd ask many people around the United States of America who's Kenny Omega, probably not a lot of people know. You know? I love him, like, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, does that kind of popular saturation, does that factor in? You know? Like, you got to give Hogan has to be part of that conversation. It doesn't mean you think he's the best wrestler, but he's literally an American icon, though. Outside of wrestling. You know? Anyway, I think Bret Hart's the best. I love Kenny, but Bret Hart is just a guy that like really put his whole soul into making the fans believe that they were seeing like a legitimate athletic competition. Like, I think Bret Hart took that seriously more than anybody. And never deviated from that. No one was a bigger heel than Hogan when he turned. I mean, that's the Hogan heel turn is one of my all-time favorite moments in any pop culture, any film, TV series. It's just one of the greatest things to ever happen. You know? You don't have to like the guy, but you do have to acknowledge that. Roman Reigns could probably make a case for being one of the greats as well at this point. The run that Roman Reigns is on right now is unrivaled in like modern wrestling history. In terms of like the draw and the money that he's earning for the company too, that's a factor as well. Like, not enough people, both Cool J and Outrun, can appreciate this. Not enough people these days are acknowledging the tribal chief. And I think that's pretty unfortunate. I think that's just pretty unfortunate. That there's still people that are like, oh, acknowledge the tribal chief? No, I don't think so. It's like, come on. Come on now. That was a good one, Coal Mine. I'm going to unsubscribe from this bloodline propaganda. Oh my goodness. Chin chin, everyone. I'm going to enjoy my Diet Coke now. McMahon might be the GOAT heel. I mean, as I was saying the other day when we were talking about Vince possibly selling the company, well, just one of the all-time great villain characters, not just in wrestling, but in any medium. Again, and you don't have to like the guy, and in fact, you shouldn't like the guy because he's genuinely a heel in real life. You know, it was one thing that I was thinking about. We had this conversation a little bit the other day, but like about how where's the line between the Mr. McMahon character and the actual person, Vince McMahon, and how that's one of the interesting things about your wrestling in general is that for a lot of these guys, like the lifers, the people that spend their whole lives in the business, eventually that line becomes blurred for them as well. You know, like you see people become their character. You know, usually in wrestling, you're creating a character and you're turning up your own characteristics to 11 or whatever they say. But like some people actually, it goes the other way. They create a wrestling character and then they become that character like in real life. I think Stone Cold is a great example. Like we watched that Stone Cold promo the other day from ECW, and he's kind of a totally different character. He's got the long blonde hair. He's stunning Steve in WCW, and then when he created that like tough redneck character, he just turned into that guy always. He just became that guy always. And who knows was that what Steve Austin was before that, or did he just like create that character and then become that character? Anyway, I don't know if we're doing another wrestle stream. I don't know if we're going to do another wrestle stream. I don't know if that's in the cards. I'd like to request a 3-hour stream of all things Vader. Vader just kicks so much ass, Starlight. You know, I gotta say, one of my favorite things in wrestling ever is when there was that Starrcade 93 Flair versus Vader main event. And the match is good. Like, I enjoy the match. But what I really love are the vignettes leading up to the match, where you have Flair, like, saying goodbye to his family and, like, being interviewed on the way to the arena. And he's like, it's Flair, and he's totally serious. And he's not hooting and hollering or yelling and screaming, or he's not doing the whole thing about the Jets or the alligator shoes or any of that stuff. He's super subdued and quiet, and like he's saying goodbye to his family, and it's like he's seeing them for the last time. Like he's saying goodbye, like he's never going to see them again. And the way that, in and of itself, without even mentioning anything about Vader, just his attitude sells Vader as just being the scariest threat that you can imagine. Just the fact that Flair seems scared. Flair is like, he's not arrogant, he's not high flying or any of that stuff. He's super subdued, and it totally just sells Vader as just being this terrifying monster. I love it. It's so cool. And the match is fine. But I love the way that they built Vader as being this monster. Even the cockiest, like the most arrogant piece of shit ever just was like, I am going to die in this match. I will probably not survive this, and I've accepted that, and I've moved on. I'm trying to move on from that. Hey Lana, what's up? And what's up? And it's Joshi night as well. Oh my goodness. Then they buried Vader in the name of Kane. Very sad that they didn't do more with Vader in WWE. They had that like Shawn Michaels feud. Like he could have been a huge deal in WWE, but because of Vince, of course, you can't have Vader coming in and embarrassing his guys, so they just did nothing with him. Definitely, Vader is 100% better than Kane. Yeah, I would say. I don't know if I agree, Coleman, just because the Vince reveal in that higher power story was just so great. It doesn't matter that it doesn't make sense. I was stoked for Taz coming in based on his ECW work, and it was similar. He had the one match against Angle where he beat Angle, and then they never really did anything with him after. Amazing how he's become put together such a career as a commentator, though. Jake as the higher power would have been cool, Coal Mine. That would have been cool. But it just leads to that all-time great McMahon moment, though. It was me, Austin. It was me, Austin. You bought it. You all bought it. Even my immediate family bought it. It was so funny seeing McMahon become that character, too, because when I started watching wrestling, he was just like the goofy announcer guy. And when you start watching, you're just a little kid and you don't know that McMahon owns the company. You just think he's the fucking announcer. And then for him eventually to be revealed as like the boss of the company and then just like the ultimate piece of shit heel. Was Gorilla Monsoon still in charge? I believe it was Jack Tunney. It was WWF President Jack Tunney would always come with the rulings when they needed the president to rule on something. Let's go to WWF President Jack Tunney for the ruling. I can never not think of the wacky McMahon walk. It's pretty wonderful, isn't it? It's pretty wonderful, sorry. I like that a lot, Marty. I'm sorry, I didn't ignore the tag. As soon as I saw it, I clicked on it. Just wondering, the length of that might be tricky. You know? Something to work with there. Except when he blows out both his quads. That was great. That was great when Vince tore both of his quads getting into the ring at the Royal Rumble. That's the kind of thing that can only happen in wrestling, you know? McMahon tears both of his quads. Absolutely, it's hilarious. And they're just sitting in the ring. We remember Durag McMahon, Colemine. We remember. Maybe Marty, could this be like a... let's see here. Hold on. Like maybe this could be like a breast thing, like a down there, like not the whole t-shirt, but like a, I don't know, like a pocket thing. It could be a phone case design as well. I definitely like it though. Good sticker, yeah. Coleman, I gotta move on from wrestling talk. Coleman, you're really getting the interviewer, the citizen journalist interviewer thing. You're putting me on the hot seat right now. We gotta relax a little bit. I'm getting stressed out over here. But probably Ziggler, yeah. But I like Ziggler selling. That was one of the things that made me a Dolph Ziggler guy when I got back into wrestling. Ziggler, I talked the other day about how Punk got me back into wrestling, but really I became a Ziggler. I was a big Ziggler mark around then. I still have I have a Ziggler shirt. It was a big Ziggler head from back in the day. I don't really like it. I'm not into his look anymore, though. It doesn't do it for me. I liked when he had the shorter, stringier hair. And the trunks. I think he tries to be a stand-up comic. I don't think he's particularly very funny. Ryan Nemeth is an improv guy. Wasn't he cut from AEW as well? We should talk Mexican wrestling someday. They have several left-wing wrestlers and at least two who become progressive cause fighters IRL, like Super Barrio and Super Cologia. That sounds great. I don't know what we're doing today, by the way. Really don't know what we're doing. I guess it would be a good day to watch some video. I think I could do the whole like substitute teacher wheeling in that video device thing today. Close some windows here. Oh, little update. We got VJ. We got VJ coming on the show, just coordinating a time. I'm coordinating a time right now. We're going to have VJ Prashad coming back on the program. When will that be? I don't know when that's going to be. Maybe sometime in the next couple of weeks. But I just got confirmation, so VJ is going to be coming back on the show soon. Ronnie's exclusive interview or a horn video, maybe. That could be good. Wrestling talk with VJ Prashad. I do intend to ask VJ about Avatar: The Way of Water. I do intend to get... I know we've dropped that as a subject of discussion a little bit, but I do intend to ask VJ about this. We want to get VJ's word on it. Ruling. The next hour of Avatar talk. I want to go see it again. I need to go see it for time number 3. I'm ready to go again. Get VJ to watch Joshi. That would be good. I'm sure he would like it.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Lexi. Lexi Rose, thank you for the 5 months, tier 1. Very kind of you. I really liked it, but it was too long. This didn't bother me at all. When the time it was almost over, I was like, is this thing over? Jeez. I was kind of disappointed. If I told him her story, he would say, wow, and that way he does. And I'll say again, too, just in case anyone is curious, that if you do gift 10 subs and above, it will play a brand new sub alert. And once again, I'm not trying to influence anyone. I'm not telling you what to do. But if any generous chatter does gift 10 subs or above, it will play a brand new alert. And I want to show it to you. Like, I'm tempted to just show it to you because I want you to see it, but I can't. I can't do it. If you want to see the new alert, I'm sorry, there's no other way to get around this. There's no other way to get around it. You must gift 10 subs and above. It would cheapen the entire enterprise. I love that I got easy trade ads from some influencer before joining this. Twitch the algorithm really knows me, really gets me in this community. It is absolutely not possible for him to play the MP3 from his computer, but it's a new animation as well, though, folks. It's not just the sound. It's a new animation as well. By the way, today I have a hard cutoff. Hard cutoff at 3. I gotta go at 3. No messing around. That's one of the reasons that I started on schedule today. But also I should just do that in general anyways, shouldn't I? But I got a hard cutoff at 3. I gotta go bring my kid to the dentist. Just posted that you're streaming. On my Facebook, it has thousands of friends. Thank you, Lexi. Did you tweet? I guess I should, shouldn't I? Starting unscheduled. Who does that? Well, usually not me. Usually not me. But because you're coming here putting pressure on me in an effort to help me, I'm going to do it right now. Right this very moment. Okay. Tweeted. Done. We're good. Thank you, Lexi, for the reminder. I appreciate it. Take care, Jay. Thanks for coming. Love that Rob is on time and tweeting on a day where he has no plan. Well, in my defense, Sean, yesterday I was maybe a little behind schedule, but I was more or less on schedule. And okay, I didn't tweet, but I shared a clip of the show after under my viral Elon Musk tweet. And I felt I stuck to my plan pretty well. I was happy with my Musk segment yesterday. In fact, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at this. Because maybe it's because I'm paranoid a little bit about this, but I just wanted to address one little thing. Let's see here. Yeah, here's the Elon Musk tweet that we started talking about yesterday. And I just want to make totally clear one thing totally clear. Okay? So here's the tweet. And you know what? The whole views thing, despite complaining about that, has grown on me a little bit, especially now that they moved the views out of the way from your traditional metrics. But even though this metric is probably bullshit anyways, I do kind of like to know that my tweet accusing Elon Musk of doing fraud and defrauding his investors got 1.8 million views. I do kind of like to have that information. I will admit. No, fuck that, because if it views instead of liking a tweet no less than 10 times yesterday. But I think it's moved out of the way now. It's at least it's on the right side, so it's not the first metric that you see. I would probably prefer not to have it, but again, in this case, I do kind of like to know that this did get seen by a lot of people. Elon definitely saw this. I would like to think so. And I just want to make something perfectly clear here. And if there's ever any situation where there's any law people or lawyers or Elon himself looking back on this kind of stuff, I just want to make this one thing perfectly clear about this tweet and about the stream that I did yesterday. So here's the first tweet where he said that Tesla is worth basically zero if it cannot make its cars self-driving. Here's the story. Tesla engineer says company faked full autopilot video, which you can see here. We watched the video yesterday. And so the fraud, the idea that he's doing fraud is that he did completely embellish and suggest that this technology was ready to go and was widespread in 2016. Let's find the Elon tweet again. Okay? Let's just be 100% clear about this. Tesla drives itself, no human input at all, through urban streets to highway to streets, then finds a parking spot. And there's the video. Oh, there's 404. Oh my God. Good thing we watched that yesterday, and now that's immortalized forever. Good thing we watched that video, which is now gone from the Tesla website. But in this video, and the claim, let's be totally clear about this, the claim that the video was staged. So when we say that it was staged, just to be clear, what this article outlines, and we read the whole article, so it was totally clear. I just want to reiterate this though, which is that not that the video itself was faked. The video that they got of this Tesla self-driving itself with the guy in the car with his hands there but not touching the wheel the whole time. That video from start to finish, I believe, anyways, there's no really way of knowing because it does cut to different camera angles at some point, so it could have been cut up from assembled from other test drives. We don't know, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt though, okay, and say that in that video, and we can watch the video again because it's on the stream from yesterday. In that video, it leaves from its destination. It leaves from the starting point. It gets to its destination. It finds parking. It parks. That's the end. The guy doesn't touch the vehicle. And according to what Elon says, it drives itself, no human input at all, through urban streets to highway to streets, then finds a parking spot. So the question, when we talk about that being fake, okay, we're not necessarily suggesting that that video that he's sharing there is not what it says it is, even though there still is that possibility. But giving them the benefit of the doubt, let's say that it is. But what Elon is not sharing here is the fact that they did multiple runs to get that video, that it was a predetermined route, that they crashed multiple times while trying to park, and they did multiple takes of that video that it didn't work. And the video they released was just the one that worked, of this Tesla on auto drive going from point A to point B without any human input. They did, as this article outlines, they did multiple other runs where the driver needed to intervene. So when we say that this is fake, or as I suggest here, the massive self-driving fraud, just to make sure that I'm completely covered here, we're not saying that that video is fake, but we are saying, though, that Elon Musk was not being honest about the viability of this technology. Okay, and even if they did manage to get that one video, he's not acknowledging that they took multiple tries. It's on a predetermined route. It's not just some Tesla owner saying, okay, I'm going to go to this place and turning on their camera and just doing it one time. And when Elon Musk, his whole of the value of his company is based on people believing that this technology is going to work, that they can deliver this self-driving technology for people, this is still a huge embellishment about what was possible. And this was 2016. So this was still when Elon was in, by 2020, what was the timeline? By 2020, it's going to be all completely working properly. This was still a huge embellishment about what this technology is capable of and how viable it is. Because we're 7 years later and the shit still doesn't work. There's people that have the auto drive. Maybe it might work the odd time, but it's still causing big accidents like we saw on the Bay Bridge on Thanksgiving, which we covered. Where it still has this phantom braking problem, which we've talked about. So that's what we're talking about. When we're saying is a fraud, a massive self-driving fraud, we're not saying that that video itself was fake, but that Elon still did mislead people about the viability of this technology. And the video was not as seamless and as great as the technology wasn't working as seamlessly and as well as Elon was suggesting that it was. I mean, the impression when he shares that clip in this tweet here, which you unfortunately can't see anymore, the impression that he's giving to consumers, to shareholders, to people in the media, to anyone that's looking at this, is that this technology is ready to go, right? That's the fraud. Not that the video is fake. as what it says in this piece is it was staged, faked full autopilot video. You know, but it's not that the video itself wasn't real, although again it does have several cuts in it, and which could hide human interventions. We don't know, allegedly. But even if it was totally real, Elon Musk, by sharing this video and not disclosing all these other facts about the video, is misleading people about the viability of this technology. That's the fraud. Just to be totally clear about this. In case I'm like in a situation like 3 years from now where I'm sitting in a courtroom and I'm seeing the words that I'm saying be read out on a transcript. Hi to the stenographer, by the way. In case I'm in a situation like that, I just want to make this abundantly clear what I'm suggesting about this, the allegations that I'm making about fraud and self-driving. Wouldn't that be funny if 3 years from now I get to the payoff of that joke? Future me right now is having a nice little chuckle in the courtroom. I'm sure we can all get a little moment of levity. Little moment of levity in this tense situation. That is very funny. I mean, just the fact that they've taken it off the Tesla website is indicative that they know that they fucked up. So I'm covering my ass as much as I can here, but if they think that it was legally a good idea to keep that video up, it would still be up. Hopefully they play a Rickroll in court. Never happened. It never happened. Let's actually, because I just want to see. I want to see what the website said. The copy on the website. Full. That's the title of this video on the. Fuck. That's the title of this video on the website. Full self-driving on all Teslas. Right? That's the copy on the video that they've now removed. So yeah, I'm sorry. And I know that, they tried to be tricky and take this off the website. Well, guess what? I got little tricks here. I got little tricks to still look at it. Full self-driving hardware on all Teslas. That's the impression that they're giving to people. If you have a Tesla, the full self-driving is available. And look at how it works. Look at how it works. You just flick it on. You get from point A to point B, no problem. That's the fraud. Okay? Because again, 7 years later, this still doesn't exist. It just works, folks. And again, worth pointing out that the driver in this video, and this is not a joke, the driver in this video ended up, you guessed it, dying in a car crash in a Tesla. Outside of the 3 sudden stops on my trip, it did work quite well until it didn't. But this is the problem, though, is that this technology is never going to work because there's no algorithm that can predict human behavior. This technology could maybe work on a special road where only other cars like this could go, that only had special rules for it. And that's what I think what Elon is trying to do. And the shit doesn't even work in those tunnels. but it can't account for like other drivers, for all these endless variables, pedestrians, little kids running into the street, animals, what have you. It can't account for all of these different variables, and it never will. Poor road conditions, yeah. And like we were saying in the podcast with Ken the other day, that's the reason this phantom braking thing happens, because it's better to like brake than to get in a massive head-on collision. So it errs towards braking at the slightest thing. When it sees a little shadow, it errs towards slamming on the brakes, or like a giant wall with a tunnel painted on it. That's right. But what if we only drove on underground single lane tunnels? But that's the thing, Starlight, like they have that, and they still, the automation doesn't work there. Like they have not even just this complicated network of tunnels, but just a single loop in Vegas, and the cars are driven at like 30 miles an hour by human beings. Those are predetermined loops with single vehicles in it, and the automation won't work in there. Yeah, maybe put a pair of tracks laid in parallel. That's interesting. Oh my goodness. What just happened? Oh shit. Okay, sorry. I saw the alert. I saw the alert on the screen. I was like, whoa, hey, what's going on? You know what else is a predetermined loop? The fucking subway. It sure does. It sure does, doesn't it? What if you just take a bunch of Teslas and put them together? Tie a bunch of them together and put them on a track. You could put a couple hundred people in there at a time. Maybe we should look into that. Mass casualty event. Anyway, that's the video. That's the video that's no longer available on the Tesla website, which is very funny. And I think an example that they know that it's bullshit. I would like to think that my tweet had something to do with that. Probably not. It's more the story, obviously. It's more the reporting on it and the testimony that came out. It's kind of funny to think about, though. It's kind of funny to think about. That's so good that they took it off. That's so great. Elon's forgotten about more crimes he's committed than most people ever commit. This man just can't stop committing crimes. Got too close to the truth, like the Jack Nicholson movie. That's right. Absolutely right. So, what do I want to take a look at here? I rewatched the Last of Us episode, particularly like the moment in The Last of Us episode 1, and God, it fucking kills me every time. There's no amount of times that I can watch that scene either in the game form or in the show form which was extremely faithful to the game. It was basically like a shot-by-shot recreation. And I cannot watch it without crying every fucking time. Every time. I won't spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. Just anyone who has played the game or is familiar with the story knows the moment that I'm talking about. Oh man, Starlight you haven't played it? Oh my goodness. I would love for you to do a react. Either a playthrough or a react to the pilot, Starlight. You should really play it. It's just a masterpiece. But God, there's this moment in the pilot and in the game as well. I've never played the game. Oh my God. I would say it's fine to watch the show without playing. I mean, it's like I think the moment is best to experience in the game. That's my preference because I just love the game so much. But the movie, like the show version, is 100% faithful to that moment. So, and just when the thing happens that I'm referencing, it just fucking kills me every single time. Like I could never do a react of it. The one time when I played The Last of Us on stream, it was before I had a camera. It was when I was just doing it from my PlayStation. I couldn't do it on camera. It would be too embarrassing. You should watch it, Doc. It's good. I mean, it's like they did make a few little tweaks. They made a few little tweaks to it, but overall, it's amazing how faithful it is to the game. But man, when that moment happens, fucking God, just crushes me. Really looking forward to episode 2. Oh, in the morning you go running for the man who stole your water. When you find the woman, they catch you at the border. Back, Jack, do it again. A couple things we can look at here. You can carry a tune. Thank you, Lexi. If you want to hear some music that I made, you can do so. You can do so. I basically put out an EP this year. You can listen to it here at this address, if that's the kind of thing you're into. Hello, ML Thoughdism. Okay. Okay, what are we doing here? So there's, avoid The Walking Dead if you're not into that as well, the Telltale game. And like I heard what you're saying too, Lana, the stuff about games that are just about father pain. Like that makes sense as well. I guess just the thing that connected me with The Last of Us was just that like the performance capture and the voice acting and that kind of stuff is just so far and ahead any other game, in my opinion, as well. And it's just like you really form like you form kind of an emotional connection with the characters, and it does, I think, as a result of that, genuinely make you feel things more than I think other games that I've played. And I also just love the gameplay, like just on a pure gaming standpoint, just in terms of like the enjoyability of playing the actual game, just outside of the story, it's just phenomenal. And the combination of those, of like really excelling at those, both of those factors. Yeah, I guess that's not a good way of putting it, Lana, feeling things. I mean, if you can feel things with a lot of different art forms. I guess it's those. I guess it's the specific emotions that I'm talking about, also. But if you want to just avoid that, then there's no really getting around that. The multiplayer is very good. I got really into it for a little while, and I haven't played in many years, but the multiplayer was excellent. Yeah, you know what I mean, though? Just those specific feelings. Like, it's really a story about loss, about, like, the cyclical nature of violence and all these things. And it's, like you're pointing out, it's very dark and sad and sometimes unpleasantly so. Like, sometimes there's moments, especially in the sequel, where it's just like I was playing the game, and even though I was caught up in the story and on some level enjoying myself, I was like, this is actively unpleasant right now. Like, I don't want to be doing this. This is just, like, brutal. So if you just want to avoid having being made to feel that way, then that's totally reasonable, I think. Yeah, that's a good point, Lana. Again, it's like that story. I was talking about this on the podcast the other day. That story about this like grizzled father figure and like surrogate child in post-apocalyptic scenario. That story has like been beaten into the ground. Like Children of Men did that. I mean, The Last of Us is a big one, obviously. Logan, like we've seen that story time and time again. But I guess it just the writing and the voice acting and the everything around it, they just did it so well that it works. You know, it just works still. Okay, so here's what we're wondering, though. We got a couple videos we can take a look at here. There's a couple of things. Actually, you know what? We should also look at more Davos stuff, because I think there's more Davos stuff, and maybe that can get us into some stuff more about Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine. Especially the second game, which is about as bleak as The Road. It is extremely bleak. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's The Road by Cormac McCarthy, although that's not like a surrogate father, but same principle still. You know, father and child in an incredibly bleak apocalyptic circumstance, with showing the kind of like small glimmer of hope that they get from their familial connection. I love The Road as well. I got that behind me. It's down there. It's on the shelf. That's a good one as well. I remember not really liking the movie even though I was like looking forward to watching it. I remember not really liking the movie adaptation of The Road that much, and I couldn't quite put my finger on why. Because it was pretty faithful to the story. Viggo Mortensen was really good casting. Like, the look of it was really good. There was something about it that just didn't connect with me. Someone make an IP about a positive future. It really speaks to what our collective unconsciousness, right? Our collective unconscious. What we're kind of like manifesting as our future. Like it's manifesting itself in pop culture. I remember I talked to Will Menaker about this one time. Yeah, I would like to see a positive vision of the future as well. That's why I love Star Trek, for sure. That's why I love Star Trek. I would like to see some more of that, you know? I was thinking about Aaron Paradumer, what he said about Superman. It's not so much that Warner Brothers doesn't want to upset reactionaries by making a woke Superman movie. More so that Superman's boundless optimism and kindness, coupled with the character being a metaphor for human potential, just doesn't jive in a society that can't imagine a better tomorrow. That is good, yeah. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this, but I once wrote a Superman short. Just as kind of a writing exercise. Where I tried to sort of keep those things in mind. It's kind of interesting. I like that vision of Superman. Like, no, a dark and gritty Superman movie, just like, we don't need that. You know, that's why I never connected with any of that Zack Snyder stuff, even though visually they were amazing, and Cavill's amazing casting. But I just never connected with it because I don't want a gritty Superman. I don't want gritty, conflicted Superman. That's every superhero. Like, that's every single movie. Have you watched the new Star Trek's Discovery and Picard? I haven't seen Discovery and Picard, no. I did watch some of Strange New World, and liked that for the most part. I thought that's the most new Trek that I've seen that's more in the spirit of the original series. I liked it quite a lot, but I didn't finish season 1. I liked the look of it a lot, too. I would like to see a new IP, though. A new IP that's maybe like Star Trek or with that kind of optimism. But that's something brand new. Apparently, for that reason, the Seth MacFarlane show, The Orville, is supposed to be good for that, isn't it? I've never watched it, but I know he's genuinely like a big Star Trek fan. Just generally, I think constantly imagining a societal breakdown in which men have to be men again, I think leads to some very, very bad conclusions, and it uses emotional appeal to the family to do it. No disagreement there with your criticism there, Lana. None whatsoever. But I like it. You know, I can't help it. Yeah, I've heard a number of good things about the Orville. I don't know, maybe I'll watch it eventually. So much of it is sublimated right-wing fantasies about finally getting to deal with the marginalized people and your neighbors in a violent fashion. Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, there's even so much room for optimism in that kind of like dark apocalypse genre as well. Like, it would be cool to see an optimistic story about like a society or a community that emerges from that kind of violence or that kind of dark shit, you know? That could be kind of interesting. Like, imagine a show that took that kind of setting, but gave it that kind of Star Trek ethos, you know, about rebuilding culture in a better way, or rebuilding society in a better way. Specifically, the narrative is always centered on the man protecting a woman in his life from dangerous outsiders. Yeah, and that's just inherently like a reactionary idea, right? That's the kind of like mental image that where the inception takes place when it comes to any argument against like immigration or LGBTQ issues, or you know, fear of marginalized communities, fear of the black community. It's always about protecting ultimately that's the subliminal message, about protecting the women in your life violently from these like interlopers. I saw an episode of Star Trek. It was a first contact episode. They sent spies to the planet and the spy got caught. Riker. It painted that the planet was incredibly conservative and reactionary for being upset they were spying on their planet. That is a really good one, though. They just didn't know that they had good intentions. Kind of understandable that you don't want aliens disguised as yourselves creeping around and transporting around and, poking around. The premise that we need society to end catastrophically first before things can get better is ideologically fraught. Yeah, that's true as well, Biggerwig. I think the thing you're forgetting is that The Last of Us takes place in a world without the sequel Star Wars movies or in any of the Star Trek reboot movies. I saw someone point out, Johnny, that the pandemic that kicks off The Last of Us story takes place right before Return of the King is released in theaters. So they never got to see the epic conclusion to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So, there's a couple of videos we can watch, folks. I would probably like to take a little break and watch a video. I think what I said was that I wanted to look at Davos first, right? So maybe I should do that. I haven't thought about that reverse Lizard Man conspiracy TNG episode. That was kind of weird how they turned on it being the culture being spied upon. I would have to see that one again. I think I got confused when Marty first mentioned that episode. I was thinking about the episode where Riker is in a mental institution. And it's a similar setup. But then the one where he's on the ship and they're doing the play about the mental institution while they're on the ship. But then he keeps getting real flashbacks where he's actually there. And then he starts to not know what's real and what's not. And that's a really good one. So I think I was confusing it with something else. But I do remember the episode that you're talking about, though. On a positive note, they didn't have to see the Hobbit movies. That's true. Yeah. Oh, I loved Station 11 as well. I loved Station... That was very good, Old Dutch. Okay, so here's a good video to start out with. Let's go to Davos. This was good chit chat and the pop culture zone moment. Let's go to Davos though. And this can get us into watching some other videos and other stuff that we wanted to look at. Which Spider-Man movies came out in 2003? I think they would just get Spider-Man 2 if that case, which would be a very high note to leave the franchise on. I dropped a tear a few times to Station 11. The whole Old Dutch, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The moment I believe it's in the finale, the reunion moment that happens in the finale, when the music picks up, it's like, oh boy. That got me. That got me good. I'm just saying gender shit worms its way in ways people don't often recognize and even feels emotionally warm and humanizing. It is true. Yeah, I guess it's just the kind of thing where I enjoy the way they, especially in that story, the way, like I was saying, that every element of it was just done so well. But I think it is really worth it to unpack all the troubling underpinnings that are there, Lana. Like even too, there's all kinds of stuff because I think Druckmann is Israeli, isn't he? And there's some weird and kind of troubling subtext in there when you get into this like cyclical nature of violence and that kind of stuff in 2. Even though I liked 2 a lot, there's still some weird shit going on. And again, just like I enjoy shitty American propaganda movies and Cold War propaganda and shitty pro-American jingoistic action movies, while knowing that it's harmful in many ways, I guess it's just another property that I think we should be aware of, the ways that it is harmful and the ways that it is negatively working on us. But also you can just appreciate when something is created really well and it's enjoyable, you know? It's okay to enjoy things while staying aware of the problematic themes. I think that's the way we got to look at these things, kind of things. Just balk at it being a uniquely emotional experience. Okay, that makes sense, Lana. Let's look at this clip from Davos. This echoes something that the Prime Minister of Finland was saying just the other day. So let's check this out.
It is extremely important that President Putin doesn't win this war, partly because it will be a tragedy for the Ukrainians, but it will be very dangerous for all of us, because then the message to authoritarian leaders, not only to Putin, but also other authoritarian leaders, is that when they use brutal force, when they violate international law, they achieve what they want.
I mean, talk about Israel. We were pointing this out yesterday. Okay, when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, we're responding to what the Prime Minister of Finland was saying. This is this kind of narrative that the Western countries have gone with, and the rules-based international order, or whatever you want to call it. This is why we must continue this war, continue escalating this war at all costs. This is why, not because we want to sacrifice Ukraine for our own economic reasons, or our own geopolitical hegemonic reasons. No, of course not. That's not why. This is why that we must stop Putin, because if Putin wins this and wins any kind of concessions, wins any kind of territory, if he's allowed to get away with this, then it's going to signal all these other authoritarian leaders that they too can invade, start wars, take territory, and they can get away with it. And it's so preposterous to suggest that, like, the only time in modern history, and I don't know how they've gotten away with this lie, the only time in modern history that any country has invaded another country and like taken territory from them is this case with Russia and Ukraine. And the idea that we can't let them get away with it. Like, can you imagine if there is a global superpower that invaded multiple countries at once and fucking dropped hundreds of millions of bombs on these countries, whatever the number is, killed millions of civilians, created a refugee crisis of 32 million people, brought people to CIA-sponsored black site torture prisons, bombed weddings and funerals, targeted drone assassinations. Can you imagine if a country did these things and then just got away with it, and then not only got away with it, but continued being the world's only most powerful, dominant global hegemon and just had no consequences whatsoever? Can you imagine how dangerous, what a situation that would be? Oh my goodness. That's why we could never ever allow Ukraine to ever surrender. We must continue fighting to the last Ukrainian, because this would be the first time this had happened. And then all these other countries would get the message. And that's the whole thing with this rules-based international order, the thing that I always say. When this comes up, which is like, who's part of this rules-based international order? Who is setting the rules? Who decides, most importantly, who decides who has to follow the rules and who does not? And that's what they're talking about. They're saying our country that's outside of our little club are doing the things that we do. And Putin has been very straightforward about saying that's exactly what he's doing. He's said on multiple occasions in the years leading up to this, I'm going to start doing what the NATO countries do, because obviously none of their bullshit about human rights or non-interventionist or any of this stuff that you say, obviously none of it matters because you don't abide by any of these rules yourselves. So guess what? we're going to start doing the same thing. We're going to start acting out in the same way. How about that? That's what Putin has been saying now, whether you like it or not. That's what he's been saying for now years, in the years leading up to this. Like he's been very clear about this since like 2008. And that's what they're complaining about at the World Economic Forum at Davos, right? When they say this has been the story, this is what they've been saying for months. We can't let them get away with it. But really it's not about, oh, this is going to signal to these authoritarian countries. It means someone outside of our special little club is acting in the way that our countries do. And we can't, that's the thing that we can't abide. We can't let anyone outside of our club get away with that kind of behavior. Because that's only for us. We're the only ones that are allowed to do that. Like, that's what they're saying. Russia tried to join NATO like 3 separate times. And this is what I was saying lately, Johnny, right? It's like they tried to be part of the special club. They were like, okay, fine, you win. We'll abandon our whole economic system that we've been trying to build for the last several decades, okay? We'll do it. We'll take all the big neoliberal shock reforms. We'll sell off all our public assets for pennies on the dollar to multinational corporations. Now that we've had this huge, disastrous impact on our society and our economy and our culture, now can we join your special club too? Now can we be in the special club? And they're like, no, you cannot. No, you cannot. And not only did they say, no, you can't be in the special club, but they continued expanding their special club right up to their borders. And they still continued treating them like belligerently, treating them like they were a threat, treating them the way NATO was formed to be. With the whole reason that NATO was formed was to keep Russia in check. Lo and behold, even when they fucking quit and gave up and, you know, like I was saying, just gave in to the imperialists, the Americans, gave them everything that they want. Even when they did that, lo and behold, they were still the enemy. They were still kept in check because that's what NATO's for. And socialism was always just the excuse, right? Or part of the excuse. Really, it was about defending their own hegemony, defending their own power. That's what it always was. Nani, this is not NAN. There are rules. Rejecting Russia from their special club shows their purity. But this is what that's right, Dimitri. But this is what I'm talking about, though. Like when they're making this argument, which they make time and time again, this is why we must. Even though we love peace, we're anti-war, we love peace, but we must continue arming Ukraine. We must continue pumping billions of dollars of arms into Ukraine, going to God knows who. We don't even know who they're going to half the fucking time, but we must continue. Even though every single one of these person that gets put on Western media is wearing, Nazi badges, even though they're renaming streets in Ukraine after all these old, fascists who worked with the Nazis to perpetrate the Holocaust, even though all that's going on, we must continue to send billions and billions of dollars into this country. That's because that's the only way. That's the only answer. We must defeat Russia militarily, which, as we've acknowledged many times, it's just not going to happen. All they're talking about, just like when Hillary was talking about Afghanistan on MSNBC over a year ago now, all they're ever talking about is turning it into this endless war zone with totally indeterminate ending. That's all they want. They want an endless quagmire. And they simultaneously wave the red shirt or whatever it is and talk about how much they care about average people in Ukraine, while simultaneously suggesting that the only option, the only path forward is endless war, nonstop bloodshed. And then they say, yeah, I care about average people. That's why I'm saying this. It's so backwards. It's, dare I say, Orwellian, even though 1984 was written as like a critique of Stalinism, basically. Like, ultimately, the world we live in has ended up turning more into that, using propaganda in the way that Orwell outlines than Stalinism ever could have hoped to. There's no greater example of doublethink than that. That's literally the war is peace thing. Like, it's literally what they're doing. And they have their domestic population thirsting for war almost as much as them. It's frightening to how bloodthirsty the nature is now than it was in Iraq. Seriously, I mean, Dimitri, like there's absolutely desire out there for broader conflict with Russia. I mean, there's plenty of people out there now that are saying NATO is going too soft, that want them to get directly involved. All those people that are like nuclear war wouldn't even be that bad, you know? They say the same thing. Yeah, it might be nuclear war, but we got to stop them. Otherwise, it's like, you know, it's going to be World War III because he's Russian Hitler. Where does Poland stand with all this, considering they were just as much a victim of fascism as the USSR was? But that doesn't matter anymore. It was like Ukraine as well. Ukraine, Poland, and all these countries were enormous victims of fascism, and extremely brave and heroic individuals in Poland and Ukraine and all throughout the Soviet Union bravely and correctly fought and died against fascism, saving our whole civilization. These are the people that have been like held up as iconic figures in places like Ukraine for years, and now all that is being erased. All that history, all that legacy is being erased now and is being framed as literally a bad thing. You know, like when all these places were celebrating the fall of the Soviet Union that day. It's like, it's just sad. It's sad. I want to see if I can find the tweet. Like, again, making the exact same argument. I keep saying, like, it's this thing that they just say over and over again. Yeah, this is it. 35,000 likes on this. Like, they keep saying the same thing. This is the argument, just time and time again. If Nazi Germany had been stopped in 1939, it wouldn't have become World War II. If we stop fascist Russia in 2023, it won't become World War III. Right? That's the argument. That's why you can never give up. That's why you can never acknowledge that you were responsible for starting the conflict in the first place. That's why you can never stop the flow of arms into Ukraine. Because if you're doing it to stop Russian Hitler and prevent World War III, well, that is a noble, positive thing. Poland has more anti-communist attitudes than anti-fascist attitudes. Well, yeah, I don't doubt that, Starlight, but that's kind of what I've been saying, though, right? Is that this has been like deliberately cultivated for generations now, and really we're just seeing the payoff. We're living in like the result of these kinds of machinations in Ukraine and in Poland and in these other Eastern European countries, right? It's been this generational project of the CIA working with extremist groups in these countries to nourish this kind of nationalism and to rehabilitate these like nationalist anti-Soviet figures who are all fascists. That's what people like Chrystia Freeland and Chrystia Freeland's Nazi grandfather have spent their whole careers doing. Their whole lives, that's their life's work, is rehabilitating these kind of nationalist figures, these monsters. And the Vatican involved. Also, not John Paul was a big solidarity guy for sure. The Vatican also intimately involved in the rat lines. It's crazy how closer all these countries got to embracing liberal democracy the more fascist they became. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? That is kind of interesting. And you know what? That's the scary and alarming thing about America, right? That's inescapable. Is that, you know, there's big parallels going on right now to what was happening 100 years ago. And it really seems like, with the benefit of that kind of like historical materialist outlook, which is that the existence of the Soviet Union, I think, prevented America from going fully fascist after the Great Depression and the stock market crash. The existence of the Soviet Union scared American capitalists so much that they ended up getting pulled in the direction of like, let's give a New Deal to give some concessions to workers so we don't end up having the same fate as what the Romanovs got. right? I think that's what happened in the 30s in the US with FDR and the New Deal and all that stuff. And we're coming up on very, very similar historical circumstances, and there's no USSR. There isn't a USSR. And that's what like the Joe Biden administration, they needed a big New Deal like response, I think. That was the whole argument behind wanting to elect Bernie in the first place, is you need that proportion of a response to prevent the country from eventually going fascist. And that's not what happened, because they're not scared in the same way. We do have the CCP, but there's been this now really extensive propaganda campaign to turn people against the CCP, even socialists, even people on the left. We see this split happen all the time. We see it on Twitch. I've seen it in my own career. This is like a dividing line for people on the left. And there's a lot of people that are like on the left in the West, in Canada and the United States, that are anti-China, because it's, for all the reasons that they often complain about. And that's right, it is the CPC. The CCP is like the conservative Red Scare version. This is why we must defend the CPC and Xi when confronted. Well, that's what I try to do over here, as you all know, but not enough people are doing that, unfortunately. They did the same with the USSR and Trots. But I think that's the scary thing, though, for America and for the West in general, is that, like, I don't think there is like a New Deal type program coming down the pike to save us. I think when the moment comes, it's the more likely outcome right now is that we're headed towards fascism. Just mask off fascism in our own countries. If you can't describe it as that already, but even more so. There's still a bit of a mask, even though it's slipping a lot. It's slipping daily. Someone must pave the one road, one belt for President Xi. Well, I'm going to continue advocating that Canada joins the Belt and Road Initiative, no matter how unpopular this gets. Let's look at the rest of this clip, though. We didn't even watch the rest. But talking about Russia and Ukraine, that's what I was saying, though. This is the line, right? This is why we can never quit. This is why we can never stop the flow of arms. It's why we can never stop training these militias, no matter what. This is why. We have to stop Putin now, or else then all the other bad, scary countries that are not part of our club are going to get the message that they can get away with this kind of thing. And it's incredibly hypocritical.
They won't. And that will be a very bad and dangerous lesson. It will make the world more dangerous and us more vulnerable.
Well, I don't doubt that'll make them more vulnerable.
If we want a negotiated, peaceful solution to the war in Ukraine, we need to provide military support to Ukraine. That's the only way.
Let's hear that one more time. Again, we're talking about doublethink.
War in Ukraine, we need.
They really lay it out there for you.
If we want a negotiated, peaceful solution to the war in Ukraine, we need to provide military support to Ukraine. That's the only way. Weapons, they are the way to peace.
Really kind of spelling it out there, spelling it all out for us. And I get called a tanky for not wanting to escalate. That's right. And they'll always find another enemy. I'm sure they'll end up fighting these fucking Azov guys. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, they'll end up fighting the same goddamn people. And it's such a farce as well, right? This whole idea that NATO isn't directly involved. How is this not, though? Really, when you think about it, how is this not NATO and the Western countries being directly involved?
It is extreme.
When they're openly acknowledging, they're the ones funding the military. They're the ones providing the missiles. They're the ones providing the training and the logistics. They're doing everything but putting their troops on the ground. And they're even putting their troops on the ground. There's Americans and Westerners going to volunteer. Oh yeah, I'm sure many of them are just volunteering totally of their own volition. And there's no fucking weird shit going on there. You know? The idea that they're not involved is just preposterous. It's just a complete farce that we have to pretend that that's not happening. Of course they're involved. Yesterday I saw some Lausanne freaks calling us tankies for not sending more weapons to Ukraine. I mean, And as I've been complaining about now for an entire year, folks, for an entire year, it's been really frustrating. Like, this is just to be such a basic test. This is what's frustrating. I've been complaining about it for a year. It's such a basic test. No, we should not support NATO sending arms to Ukrainian militias to fight a proxy war for the US. Why is that hard? Why is that hard for people to understand? It's not that, it shouldn't be that difficult. It shouldn't be that difficult to know what the line is here. Being opposed to NATO, right? Like, just look around. If you're on the left and you've convinced yourselves that the only possible moral viewpoint of this Russian-Ukraine conflict is that we must continue this unlimited flow of arms into Ukraine. If you've somehow reasoned yourself into this position, just take a moment, step back, think about it for just one moment, what you're advocating for. Look around at who your allies are all of a sudden. All the intelligence agencies, all these rules-based international order countries, the US State Department, the weapons manufacturers. Take a small step back and ask yourself if maybe you've been, manipulated to hold this idea, to hold this viewpoint, and then to advocate for it, and to suggest that it's like a moral viewpoint, that we must continue the unlimited flow of arms into Ukraine. And when you point out the origins of that, the fact that the arms have been flowing for the last 10 years, and that in fact helped initiate the conflict in the first place. Just acknowledging that basic reality. We've been pumping arms and training these militia groups for the last 10 years. Maybe that contributed a little bit to the conflict breaking out in the first place. When you're sitting there, people literally sit there and describe it as the unprovoked, illegal occupation of Ukraine and things like that. Whose propaganda are you repeating there? The unprovoked invasion. When you refuse to even recognize this basic reality, that we played a role in, yes, provoking the conflict by pumping arms, billions of dollars of arms into the country, and spending decades meddling there politically for the exact reason of interfering in Russia. Just acknowledging that. People say, no. People get so upset. People call you all kinds of names for just acknowledging this basic fact. It's just a fact. It's not really something that can be debated. And yet there's people that are like, I'm on the left, I'm anti-imperialist, I stand for all these good things, but we must continue the flow of arms into Ukraine at all costs. It's very strange to me that people have got sucked into this, and it's discouraging, frankly, People need to do better, I think. And as I've said many times, none of this means that you think what Russia is doing is great, or that you like war or want it to continue, or that you're not acknowledging that Russia is carrying out this war is doing terrible things, and that civilians are dying, and ordinary innocent people are being impacted, of course. But just acknowledging this basic nuance has been so tricky for people. And it's just, like I said, for all the things that we talk about on the show, it's just been discouraging, because we know this kind of thing is going to come up again. We know the propaganda machine is going to come up again when the Taiwan shit inevitably flares up again, which it will. They've been trying to they've been provoking and poking and prodding China, using Taiwan as a wedge, using Hong Kong as a wedge, using Xinjiang as a wedge now for multiple years. We've been covering it a lot on the show. They've been poking and prodding them for years, and eventually there's going to be some flare up, even though China, to their credit, has refused at each point to rise to the same level or to sink to the same level and to respond to these provocations, which they know exactly what that's going to mean. But we know it's going to happen eventually. We know it will. And I don't have a lot of confidence that people are going to have the right analysis. I don't. And nothing about the last year has instilled me with any confidence that people are going to be able to get what's fucking going on and just take the basic, easy, analysis that they could. Waiting for them to bring back the free Tibet shit in full force. Well, that's going to come up again too, Moss. We saw the other day with that Canadian progressive media establishment that put out that like article about mining in Chinese occupied Tibet. You know, Inner Mongolia for sure. It's like that'll be the next big human rights NGO complex thing. You know, so I don't have a ton of confidence. It's been a year of talking about this. It's been a year now of talking about Russia and Ukraine. And even though there's things that I got wrong, I very famously, in the weeks leading up to the conflict escalating and Russia actually invading, very loudly and confidently proclaiming that was not going to happen, as many people that I respect a lot were also saying. And I was totally wrong about that. But overall, it's a subject that I've covered a lot for a couple years now, like even since before this conflict really escalated. And I'm very confident and comfortable with the coverage that I've done of this, you know? I don't think there's a single leftist that got that one right. Well, it shows that they, you know, he really, the crazy bastard really did do it, right? No one was really expecting it. I don't even think the U.S. government was expecting it, even though they were saying they were. I think they were saying they were expecting it as like a bluff, and then the motherfucker actually did it. Oh, I was very confidently ruling it out, Lana. Very confidently ruling it out. But again, I'm still, regardless of that, very confident with the coverage that I did of this and of the analysis that we've had in this community about that. And I'm proud of all of us, frankly, for sticking to our principles on this. Regardless of how hard it got, there's been moments where people have come after me and the NAFO fellas and what have you have tried to yell at me for it, but I am proud of each and every one of us for not budging on that. And we're going to have to, as I was saying the other day, watching MLK's speech about why he was opposed to the war in Vietnam, that's only going to get harder, not easier. You know, when the Taiwan stuff inevitably flares up, or whatever the flashpoint is to the inevitable Chinese conflict that we know a lot of people in the ruling class in the West want. Whatever form that takes, it's going to be, if we thought it was hard to speak out during the Russia and Ukraine thing, that was only a test run, I think, because when the China stuff inevitably flares up, which we all know it will, it's going to be even harder, and the propaganda machine is going to be churning even faster. And like I said before, I don't have a ton of confidence that people are going to be able to resist it, because many people, even people that I like and respect a lot, I feel have failed this kind of basic test in this situation. And frankly, people have failed it on the other side as well. Who have gone full like Russian chauvinist, which I don't think is like a valuable viewpoint or analysis either. China and Russia have refused to rise to the bait. Well, I think that's what I would disagree with, because I think Russia did rise to the bait. I think invading Ukraine was that. I think if Russia didn't rise to the bait, they wouldn't have invaded Ukraine in the first place. That's not taking NATO or Canada or the US off the hook for provoking it. As I've acknowledged many times, we did provoke it. He was baited for a long time. It's true, yeah. But I mean, I think that's indisputable, though. And you can make the argument in many ways that Putin taking that bait, finally, even though for a long time he didn't, Putin taking that bait in many ways has strengthened NATO. In many ways has like strengthened this kind of these fascist trends, not just in Ukraine, but all throughout the West. Maybe that was calculated in a way, but like it's I don't know, folks. He did what any ruler would have done. That's not an endorsement of Putin. Well, Lenin smash, and I think that's one thing that I've been saying as well, which is that if the roles were reversed and the United States was the one in Russia's position, as we've said this many times, the United States was the one in the Russians' position, and you take some whole comparable analogy to the whole Donbass thing and the border with Ukraine, plus arms being pumped in by their enemies, which was common knowledge, of course the U.S. would have bombed it to smithereens, would have bombed it back to the Stone Age years ago. You know? I don't think that's debatable at all. I think what the United States would have done in a comparable situation would have been significantly worse and more horrific than what we've seen. Well, I think what I would say reading for liberation is that this is the uncomfortable truth about Russia and Ukraine, which I think you do have to acknowledge if you want to have a serious analysis of it, which is that Russia, whether you agree with Russia's current government or not, Russia's not a socialist, like I'm a socialist, Russia's not a socialist country in any way. So let's acknowledge that. The reality, though, is that Russia is part of a bloc of other countries, like I was saying before, outside of this rules-based international order, which I'm opposed to. You know, I'm a socialist. I'm opposed to NATO. I'm an anti-imperialist. I'm opposed to NATO. The reality is that Russia and China are part of a bloc that is outside of that system and are challenging that system. You know, and it's important to acknowledge that, and are part of this global power shift away from the unipolar world of just the United States controlling the entire world economy, and are part of this emerging new economic system that challenges the hegemony of the US dollar. These are all things that I support. So I don't necessarily support the Russian government, and I don't agree with the many things that the Russian government does, especially their extremely reactionary views on like Western decadence and the LGBTQ community, and things like that. I'm opposed to all these things, but overall, you have to acknowledge Russia's important key role as part of this block of countries that are opposing Western hegemony, which is something that I agree with. So I think we'd call that a dialectic, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? I believe that's maybe what that is. Lenin said something about a citizen of a capitalist country and where they should stand on critiquing another country before addressing the contradictions within their own. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, that's a big part of it, right? I mean, Russia does a lot of bad stuff. America, the West, we're the baddies, though. We're the empire. We're the global. We're the global organized crime syndicate that controls the whole global economy. Okay, that's us. That's us. So if you're against that, if you're living in that imperial core, if you're an imperial baby, like probably most of the people in this stream, and you're against that, I mean, you have to acknowledge that there are countries outside of that are working to undermine that, and you can support that overall goal while not agreeing with or accepting every single thing that happens in these places. That's my nuanced stance on this. Okay, I think that's pretty fair. And for whatever reason, though, like to go back to what I was saying before, has become a very controversial stance. I don't think it should be controversial to acknowledge these things, but it is, which is once again one of the things that doesn't instill me with confidence that when the next kind of conflict breaks out, people are not going to be able to have the correct analysis. The West has been running roughshod over the world for 500 years. Nothing any modern nation outside of that has comes close. No. Like when people do this kind of like anarcho-natives thing and they say Russia's imperialist invasion of Ukraine. Why do you support Russian imperialism? They try to use this like leftist language. This is the left anti-communism stuff. But you do that kind of stuff. Or the left communist thing. An infantile disorder. The imperialist invasion. But like nothing Russia does on a global level comes even close to America's role as a global imperialist power. It's nothing. You know, it's not just when a country's invaded. That's not what that word means. That's not what that is. Like, what have we learned while doing this show, right? It's not just invading other countries, but it's controlling the global flow of information. It's controlling the global financial system. You know? Who controls the global financial system? Is it Russia? No. No, it is not. And in fact, the imperialist countries, you know, America and its allies, are using control of the global financial system as much as they can to try and undermine Russia. And they've been doing this for decades or centuries, you could say. But, you know, this is an analysis that I think not enough people that kind of count themselves among the left has on this. And again, I don't think it should be that controversial, but it is. Yeah, who has sway over the IMF? The World Bank, SWIFT, structural adjustments. Who has sway over NATO and the UN? And that's what I mean. It's like Russia and China and this block of other countries are starting to build these new institutions that can challenge those massive imperialist structures. But they're still nowhere near the same level of power and influence yet. You know, and and building an alternative block or alternative structures to counter these massive imperialist institutions isn't necessarily just engaging in imperialism yourself. You can't just sum it up as like, oh, they're just doing imperialism themselves. Like, that's not what it is. They're trying to undermine the real the major imperialist countries. Ugh. Eyes are getting kind of sore here. I got another hour here. Again, I do have a hard cutoff. And this is a very strange transition. We're going to talk more about these geopolitical issues, but we're at the hour here, 2 p.m. I got to remind people that if you enjoy this show, have you considered Vladimir Putin's conspiracy against girl bosses such as Hillary Clinton? I know, that is true. That is true.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk.
Very unfortunate. Amy Klobuchar was there in Ukraine in 2016 offering all the weapons to the Azov guys. They just hate to see a girl boss winning. It's very sad. Comrade Social Distancing, thank you for the 2 gifted subs. Thank you for all the support, Comrade Social Distancing. Folks, if you like this program, if you like this commentary, if you're watching right now...
Okay, Rob, seriously, wow.
Oh boy, I actually did it. Works. Oh my God, John, thank you so much. That is so kind of you, John, for the 10 gifted subs. John McCain's Ghost, thank you so much for that and for everything you do for the community. That was good. That was really good. Only took a year, that's right. But now I actually understand how to do it better because I realized that there's like, in the Streamlabs app that I use, there's the settings there But then when you go on the web version, it's way easier to do everything. So I think I can start doing some new stuff now that I figured this out. And yeah, on year 3, I'm finally there. Thank you again, John McCain's Ghost. Was that cool or what? I don't know. Was that cool? It works with the glasses and everything. At first, I tried with eating a sandwich. I have a sandwich GIF to use as well. I have a sandwich GIF to use as well. I can do something else for that. I want to eventually just make a soundboard where you just pay and can just play a specific sound or animation. That's one thing I would like to incorporate this season as well. What graphic is that on your shirt? This is a shirt. I don't know if you just got here, stay at home uncle, but if you're interested in some of the things that I was just talking about, destabilizing the West and what have you, this is a shirt for the Rousseau Institute for Western Destabilization, which you can get from the merch alert there. It's a good shirt made by community member Old Dutch. And we got more merch coming as well. $1 to play fart sound is not ever going to happen. No, that is not going to happen. I don't trust you people. You people are still rickrolling me in the year 2023. I'm not going to give you access to fart soundboards. That's the last thing I'm going to do. I wonder if I should repurpose this into a merch too. I did this design years ago and I still like it. I did it for the 49th Parahell podcast. But I could repurpose this into a TRRS thing. I really like this image. It's cool. What about $5 for farts? There will be no farts. There will be no farts. Okay? We'll see about what we can do though. I mean, it would be good to have like that like Chinese girl that says vulgar. That was good. It would be good to be able to trigger that. Everyone has a fart price. Maybe we could do like $100 farts. Like it would have to be something like that. It would have to be like you'd have to be crazy to do it. Like if you want to pay $100 to make a fart sound when I'm in the middle of saying something important, I guess that's okay. I guess that's fine. I think I have Vulgar Girl, Sin Chao. I'm pretty sure I do. Yeah, I do. Because I recorded it just for that exact reason. So I could use it for something for this channel because it's so great.
You can count on me and that good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Here to mark up the account TRRS Sankara.
Thank you, Sunny Sola, so much for the 8 months of Tier 1. Thank you for marking up the size of the account. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. I hope she's having an amazing day. Me too. She's fucking great. See, I would just like to put this so one of you could just trigger this at any time. You could do a couple of those. Vulgar. Absolutely. You can do a soundboard through the channel point system. That is true, yeah. We'd have to take a look at that, though. Because there would need to be a balance of, like, it being used respectfully. you know? I can't be having shit going off, like, because some of you have like hundreds of thousands of these points. I can't have just like sounds be going off all willy-nilly, you know? All kinds of wacky stuff going off at all times. That would just get too chaotic. Set up cooldowns, that makes sense. I don't trust any of you people to not take advantage of that. I just don't. I think it would be used disrespectfully. I'll DM you my ideas about that later. Okay, thank you, John. And thank you again for the 10 gifted subs. That was really kind of you. I really appreciate it. Now I want to see the alert again, but it's just going to have to be a rare occurrence. It's going to have to be a rare occurrence, the Glasses Rob alert. How can you not trust this face? It would be good to do that as an alert as well. I have too many points. It would be tempting. Some of you have 3 years worth of channel points here. If it's profitable, I will graciously tolerate the fartage. No, there will be no farts. There will be no farts. Okay? Imagine if it happens during a serious interview. I would have to mute it because I know that would just be completely outrageous. The damn news. Is this a stream for beavers? Hey, G Clubby, did you see that video of the beaver making a little like dam in their suburban home with like little stuffed animals and stuff? Did you see that? Oh shit. Okay. Well. Okay then. I see. He's making a little dam. Making a little dam with SpongeBob. Possibly the most important news I've ever witnessed. It's true. This is important news. This is what were we talking about that was more important than this? What were we talking about that's more important than this? Nothing. I love that they respect the beaver impulse. Seriously, that's cool. So any more takers, folks? Again, I got a hard cutoff in 52 minutes. So again, before I move on, remind people one more time. I don't even have the triangle image anymore. Remind people one more time. I'm gonna have to redo one of those. Please subscribe to the channel though. Get all the emotes. Look at all the emotes. Okay? Some of the best emotes on this entire platform, including the brand new emote. TRRS Rob Eat. The brand new emote that's tearing up the nation. The classic TRRS Rob Eat emote. You can get all these emotes and more for one subscription, which is cost $5, or it's completely free of charge if you have a Amazon Prime account. Or you can gift subs and you can move up and down in Twitch's patented, Twitch's only, highly exclusive friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. How do you get to the top of the triangle? Well, there are ways. There are ways, dude. You don't even know. You don't even know. You don't even want to know. Hell, I could get you to the top of the friendship triangle by 2:30 this afternoon. With live alerts. So subscribe to the show, gift subs, gifting up to 5 subs gets you into the, gifting 5 subs and above gets you into the elite tier of the friendship triangle system. In between 1 and 5 puts you in the chaos zone where many people are very comfortable. Many people are very comfortable in that chaos zone. And if you give 10 subs and above, it plays the wonderful new alert that played earlier on the stream. Doesn't that sound fun? In fact, I would like to take a little break. I think I'm going to take a short break to make a sandwich before the stream continues. I'm going to put on some music. It would be cool to be able to get up to 20 subs before I took my break. That would be cool. That would be very interesting if that were to happen. Very, very interesting. I'm in the chaos zone because I don't give 5 at once. No, that's not how the chaos zone works. It's once you've gifted 5 or above. So if you give 5 at different times, it puts you into the elite tier. But it's a time sensitive as well. It's not a permanent thing. It's not a permanent position. You know, after some time, you do end up going back down. Just so that's clear, in case that wasn't clear to everybody. What type of sandwich? I got some egg buns, Lana, and I got some Hungarian salami from the grocery store. So I'm going to have an egg bun, some Hungarian salami, a little spicy pepper.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Spicy pepper and like some kind of like a mayo mustard kind of mix. That's what I'm going to have. Thank you so much, Alana. Thank you for the gifted sub. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Alana.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
TRRS Rob Knife, TRRS Rob Knife, TRRS Rob Knife.
The other classic emote that everyone loves. You too, if you subscribe to this channel, can threaten other Twitch streamers with knives or their communities as a joke. Purely as a joke. Thank you, Roboto-san, for the 3 months of Tier 1. I don't have access to a gift sub badge despite gifting before. I wonder what's up. I'm not sure what's up with that. I wonder if it has to get to a certain
You can count on me.
level.
You have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Left FL1 Candy Lick, TRRS Rob Knife.
I can look into it though, Sunny Sola. Thank you, Red Wizard. Thank you so much for the 16 months of Tier 1. I used to have it and it disappeared. That's really strange. I'm not sure. I will check, or I'll loop Lodane into it, or Marty. We can figure it out. Thank you so much. Look at that. We made it to 20. That's wonderful. Thank you, friends. Thank you so much. Let me just put on a little clip. I'll come back. We'll watch a video. We'll say goodbye. In about 45 minutes is when the end of the stream will be. That alert was so good. That alert was so great. Thank you again, John. Okay, I'll talk to you in a moment. I'll be back with my sandwich in just a sec. You want to get meta? Meta here? Hold on. Hold on here. Ah. Fuck. Let's see here. Talk amongst yourselves. Listen, I talked before too, and I tweeted about this earlier. There is no other place, there is nowhere else on the internet that you can get this kind of content. Where else can you see this? Where else can you ever see this kind of content? Okay, nowhere. That's not worth $5. That's not worth a Prime sub. That's not worth a measly little donation. This place where you come to, where this unique content that just isn't an experience that's not available anywhere else. This music is original as well. This just simply does not exist anywhere. We need one more window with you wearing the shirt eating a sandwich. Okay, here's what I propose. Someone clip this. Okay? Someone clip this and post it in the chat. But shit, now I'm out of sandwich though. Now I'm out of sandwich. This is going to mess up my plan. Can you put the hoodie on too? Go make another sandwich. They call her G Clippy. Yes, they do. We're often saying that. We're often saying that about G Clippy. Rob is going for the Daily Mail article of man eats Dagwoods for 365 days, fill himself each time. It's my new art project I'm going to start working on. Honestly, Twitch's clip function is so broken. Half the time it doesn't even work for me. Thank you, G Clippy. Okay, now I just need to eat something else. Okay, hold on. Hold on just one sec. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Same carrot.
There's so many Robs on the screen right now. Okay, here we go. One sec. Can I loop this? Oh. This is what I do for you people. For your entertainment. This is the kind of thing I do. I just had one of those out-of-body experiences where, you know, for a moment I saw what was happening on the screen. And sometimes as a streamer, you go through these moments. You see the video on the screen, you're like, oh, that's me right now. This is my life. And you just have this moment of just like... Jesus. Again, folks, so you can't get this content anywhere else. You can't. One window with the loop of biting, chewing the sandwich, another with sipping from the beverage. Thank you again, Bolden, for the 16 months tier 1. Thank you, Bolden. I just got, I should stop eating this, definitely. I just picked this up from the grocery store, though, folks. It's spicy dill pickle dip. It's like a sour, like a creamy, spicy dill dip. And I got these tiny little nan breads that I use to eat the dip, and it's really good. It is really good. Very enjoyable little snack. Nan breads. Well, what would you say? It's a bag of a bunch of small little nan breads. How else would you say that? Now I don't even have anything else. Oh, Jesus. Jesus. I always wonder, what... I'm seeing my viewer numbers just dropping here. I'm seeing my viewer numbers just dropping like a stone. I often wonder what, lurkers or people that are coming here from, the Twitch algorithm in those exact moments tuning in and just being like, what on earth? What on earth am I looking at here?
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Saint Peter upon your arrival in heaven. Saint Peter, how did you spend your last days before your failed mortal combat with that goose? Rob begins thinking of this moment.
Thank you, Dimitri. Yeah. Thank you for the 200 friend coin, Dimitri. That's right. What's when you've breathed your final breath? Is it all worth it? Is it all worth it? What did you spend your life doing? That's the question. I can't continue to do anything. Like, this is just too much now. We have to stop this. Like, there's just no... Let's let him stop. Thank you, G Clappy. But thank you for all your clips. The classic G Clippy action at play. I don't know what else we really want to do now. I gotta go in 25 minutes, so I don't think I have enough time for like a video as I was kind of planning. Is there more Davos stuff? Should I make more of an effort to like talk about serious shit? Or has that moment passed? Can you recover can you go back to talking about serious shit while you just had an image of 4 of yourself on a screen for dozens of viewers? Eating and drinking? Can you go back to being serious after that? I don't know. I really don't know. Hey guys, is this a communist stream? I mean, despite what you might think based on what you might have been seeing so far, yes. I mean, look at this. If you want to know whether it's a communist stream, I'll tell you. Who's that guy? Who's that guy? This is the place I get my political analysis from. And Subversive History does really good political analysis as well. I would encourage everyone to follow and subscribe to Subversive History. Our friend Johnny. Johnny Dialectically in the chat. Yes, it's a communist sandwich eating stream. That's right. I eat sandwiches very communistly on this stream. Did you say what kind of sandwich? You did miss it. Yeah, it was like a egg bun, a couple of different kinds of Hungarian salami, and a spicy pepper. He doesn't even share them. I would if I could.
To mark up the size of the account.
Thanks, Dimitri, for the 100 friend coin. Is there more Lulag content? I'm just wait. Oh my god! Look at this! Look at this pause face. Look at this. Brazil's new government makes major changes to the police force. Cleans out police force in 18 states. Did you hear that, liberals? Did you hear that, Brandon? Did you hear that? You can do that. Cleans out police forces in 18 states. You can do that. Why not? Why not just do that? Rather than having all these reactionaries that hate you in your own security forces undermining you, You can just get rid of these fucking guys and girls. You can do this. Brazil's government made major changes to the federal police commands of 18 states on Thursday. 26 of the 27 federal highway police superintendents were also dismissed. 26 of 27 federal highway police superintendents dismissed. It's frankly jarring to see someone on the left wield power like this. Seriously. I know. That's how conditioned we are to losing all the time. Purges. I'm always saying this. We need more of them. We need more of them. And I'm just waiting for the finger wagging to come out. No doubt they're going to give Lula a little bit of leeway. But like, I'm just waiting for the lectures to start. That's the thing that I'm the most curious of about this, is when the lectures are going to start. When the accusations of authoritarianism are going to start. Glenn is on it. That's right. Yeah. That's going to be Glenn's new beat. It would be very funny if Lula deported Greenwald. That would be a funny outcome. This is what it means to have a winner mindset. Seriously. You're allowed to do this. You're allowed to get tough. You can try and win rather than just letting people undermine you. Then ends up living in Miami with Bolsonaro. Did you see the video of Bolsonaro doing like VR? I have to say, in spite of myself, I found this pretty endearing. You know? Yeah, he's a fascist, but like, I'm sorry, it's hard not to smile when you look at this. Yeah, that's true. One who reads, that's actually one of the things, as soon as I made that joke about Greenwald, that's the first thing I thought about was his family as in his kids. So you're right. Thank you for calling me in on this. I agree. Wouldn't be funny to separate them from their parents in any way. But just Glenn is acting like such a dipshit that it's just hard not to get at least a little bit of a chuckle out of things going on in his life that make him, you know, freak out and go mental, go wild.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
The guy you went to the LULAG for.
Yeah, yeah, seriously, Dimitri, seriously. Thank you for the 200 friend coin. This is the guy. I'm going to sacrifice everything for this man. I'm going to sacrifice everything for this guy. I regret to inform everyone that within the game, his character has also been put in the hospital as being treated for COVID. Glenn is going to end up living with Balso in Jose Aldo's minion-themed bedroom. That's great. That's good stuff. I don't know. The video, that's the thing. The videos of like Bolsonaro, I think, are just like, it's hard not to laugh. Like him, he's just hanging out. He's one of, again, like I said the other day, he's like one of many current and former fascists just hanging out in Miami, hanging out at the CVS, wandering around the suburbs, playing PlayStation. Like there's something just innately hilarious about that. Like Brazil is one of the top economies in the world. We're a week away from Bolsonaro wheezing the Jews. He should wheeze the Jews. Like, regardless, you don't have to rehabilitate his image or suggest that he's like more of a human being or anything like that, but it is just inherently funny, though. It is funny seeing these clips. But yes, I do support further purges. I do support Lula continuing to put people that deserve it to be there into the Lulag. Big Lulag supporter over here. We got Boris at Davos. We got Boris showing up in Davos. He's not even a leader anymore. What's he doing there? He's the shadow prime minister.
Sky News.
Says we heard Boris was in Davos for a private event. We tracked him down to ask him what he was up to. He took off. We chased him. Here's what happened next.
How are you? Now, tell us what Prime Minister. Hello. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, why are you here in Davos? You would have just heard it. And Mr. Johnson, should Rishi Sunak really be here? Hello. Mr. Johnson, can you just tell us why you're here in Davos and why it's important to be here in Davos?
Just taking what I said earlier on. Taking earlier copy, as we say.
And he's losing them. He's dropping. This man knows how to drop a tail. He's got the training. He's got the MI6 training. Look at him. He's dropping his tail. He can blend into any culture. He'll blend in, survive. He's got a head start. He's probably found the Grail already.
These forums matter, though, in terms of kind of global awareness for Ukraine.
Yes.
What's he saying? What's the question?
Though, in terms of kind of global awareness. But do these forums matter, though, in terms of kind of global awareness for Ukraine?
Yes.
Because it sounds like they're pursuing him, and I don't know if I misheard earlier, but it sounded like he was like, what's Russia doing here? So it's like he's being, like we talked about the adversarial journalism, it's always like when they're not being militaristic enough. So is he trying to get him in a gotcha for Russia even being involved in these affairs? Is that what's going on here? Is that the big gotcha?
Yes.
Here's what happened next. Not really anything all that exciting. They kind of tried to sell that as being cooler as it actually was. People aren't aware enough. That's the problem. That's right. Shit, where did that go? Here. Was it Dimitri that just said, do you see Petro pushing back at Davos? No, what's that, Dimitri? What are you referring to? You know what's wild is Weasel's like Glenn expecting us to care about suppression in Brazil, but not saying a word about Peru. Seriously, it's like we only want to hear about repression when it's happening from the left. Glenn's one of those guys now, right? Or to suggest that all repression is bad and none of the context matters, none of the history matters. Like Glenn, at one point I thought Glenn Greenwald was smarter than that kind of stuff, but apparently not. Glenn's become one of those. Are they going to have their newspaper program? Their newspapers and their radio programs. That's what Glenn's doing, unironically, when it comes to Brazil now. He's very concerned with the civil liberties of the fascists, and in fact, that's what Glenn's always been. He's always been concerned with the civil liberties of fascists. He was able to effectively disguise that for a long time, and he got his start defending like white supremacists and neo-Nazis, right? For that exact reason. That's the only time that's the most when we have to be the most concerned about these questions of civil liberties, is when they're being applied to fascists and whether they get them or not. Are going to keep their radio programs and their newspapers? Most videos are in Spanish, but here's an update. Okay, yeah. Man, the shift of Colombia, the shift that Colombia is undergoing right now, we've covered the shift going on in Latin America, this kind of new pink tide, as I've called it a couple times, but not that like Colombia is all the way on the left now or anything like that, but just the fact that they've elected a president like this, who is saying these kinds of things, who is not just going to let Colombia any longer be a client state of the U.S. in Latin America, the foothold of the imperialists in Latin America. That's a really seismic shift, isn't it? Colombia President Gustavo Petro described U.S.-led efforts to fight drug trafficking as an absolute failure during a panel with Latin American political leaders at the World Economic Forum. Called for strategies to reduce consumption that focus on education, prevention, and treatment for those with addiction. And, like we've seen, like drug trafficking has been used alongside anti-communism to justify whatever repression, whatever invasions, whatever military interventions and destabilization efforts that the U.S. has been doing in Latin America. For it was anti-communism for a long time, and then toward like when the left had been effectively crushed in Latin America through this kind of Operation Condor type stuff, nefarious stuff, the thousands of disappearance and mass murder campaign and funding these Contras, then they immediately shifted into the war on drug trafficking, where they were also, I assume, directly responsible or linked with the drug trafficking organizations in these countries, while simultaneously using that to destabilize and overthrow the countries. Yeah, sounds just like Stalin. That's right. Yeah, so cool what's happening now compared to what it used to be. For sure. I mean, that's what Colombia was, the imperialist foothold in Latin America for many years. And under the guise of drug trafficking was how a lot of that was done. He said that thousands of people, most of them black, have gone to prison in the United States and up to 1 million have died in Latin America. Very true. Again, what is this using this kind of historical materialism? That's not good. We can't have the president of Colombia using historical materialism. He added that if we cannot have a debate on the United States' failed drug policy, we'll have serious problems. That's amazing. That's really amazing news. Huge. I mean, it's been such an interesting shift in Latin America, and Colombia is such a important example of that. When the Berlin Wall came down and the USSR dissolved, stopping communism got harder to sell to the middle class. Yeah, so they switched to drug trafficking, they switched to terrorism, Folks, I gotta go. I gotta go in like 8 minutes. Okay? If anyone else still wants to subscribe to the channel, okay? Now is your time. You have one last chance to subscribe to the channel. Get the emotes. It's $5 or it's free with a Twitch Prime account. Or if you want, you can gift 10 subscriptions and see the brand new alert, which is very, very exciting and cool. I'm just saying, you can do any one of those things. Hello, Vexing Thoughts. Is it going to be a fart sound? No, it is not. See, this is why I can't be a doomer and find doomer stuff annoying. People who have been through so much worse than most of us have the iron will to keep going and making gains. Yeah, like that's my doomerism, Lana, comes from like how brainwashed our population is, right? And how conditioned people are to defend this very system, even when it's fucking them over, to defend it with their lives. But I got a lot of optimism from the shift that's happening in places outside the imperial core. That's why we talk about this so much on this channel, because that is something to feel optimistic about. These shifts in geopolitical power that are going on, you know, and that's where the revolution is going to come from. I don't have a lot of confidence in the revolution happening here, but that's where the change is going to come from. So how was the stream today, folks? Was it good? Did you enjoy the stream today? I would like to remind you that we're coming up on 2 straight weeks of TRRS appearing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You know? And it's okay to congratulate me on that. It is okay to say congratulations, Rob. It is okay to say thank you, Rob, for the content. It's totally okay to do that. I will be back tomorrow, friends. A solid 9.4 out of 10. There we go. We love it. Thank you, Rob, for being considerate ending the stream early for the sake of my productivity. That's no problem. Like I said, I got to go bring my kid to the dentist. I got to make sure I give myself enough time for that. We're going to see how that goes. Not enough Avatar talk? Okay, well, we'll try to do more next time. Clearly the community is speaking on this and they're not hearing enough Avatar talk. So, obviously I need to step it up. Give my regards to Dan Simpson. I hope you enjoy his stream. I'll be back tomorrow at noon. I'll try to be on time. That's all. Thanks for watching today, friends. Talk to you soon.